Dystopia is really here. Let's put this up there on the screen from CNN, which is the Biden administration is considering using outside firms to track extremist chatter by Americans online, an effort that would expand the government's ability to gather intel, but could draw criticism over surveillance of citizens. And really, just the details of this are chilling, which is that by law, the administration and the government is banned from accessing your private communications. So what they would do instead is they would hire outside authorities in order to circumvent these bans, and then those outside authorities would assume false identities to gain access to private messaging apps used by extremist groups. Right now, they're saying the Proud Boys or Oath Keepers, it's up to them. They can say whoever they want is an extremist group. And therefore, they can use that unprotected information gathered by these private private groups and use them in order to increase their own domestic surveillance and boost law enforcement activity. It's a total workaround the First Amendment, around your right to privacy, around the specific bans that we have here, and they're just nakedly floating it out in the public. And of course, they're not really getting that much pushback. The CNN story is like, well, some people might say, no, I think a lot of people should say that it's pretty crazy to say that the government is going to pay a private group to create fake profiles and infiltrate other groups just so they can copy those text messages or whatever and send them back to the Department of Homeland Security for the specific purposes of monitoring you and for intelligence, warrants, etc. It's just the absolute worst of a privatized security. This is police state like times 10, because it's the fusion of big tech or whoever with the government security apparatus. Not that it doesn't already exist, but this is just like this on steroids.
Well, and what's their justification? January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th.
They say, this would have helped us to better understand. They were planning January 6th out in the open. Anyone who's on Twitter or wherever could have found. And in fact, the reporting suggests that these agencies saw that same planning going on in advance, and they just didn't do what they needed to do to actively prepare, and then had a Keystone Cops-like situation where they couldn't even get their ride shields. They were locked in a bus, and they hadn't been stored properly, and they shattered on it was just a mess. So what you're going to do over this blatant failure is empower these people with even more unconstitutional power. I love how it's just explicit, like, yeah, we're not legally allowed to do this, so we're going to just outsource it to the private sector to get around this whole, constitutional issue with this type of surveillance. Here's another great detail from this article from CNN. It says this would involve empowering a unit at Department of Homeland Security that's already under fierce scrutiny for its bungled handling of the Portland riots last summer, an episode that included collecting intelligence reports on journalists and unmasking private citizens, according to a source who's familiar with the recent internal report on the matter. Ken Klippenstein did a lot of the great reporting on that and how outrageous some of their actions were in that regard, and potentially unconstitutional as well. We also covered here they were collecting cell phone records of lawmakers because of the January 6th riot. And again, look, this might be about white supremacists, Proud Boys, groups that you don't like today. It could be about Black Lives Matter activists. It could be about Palestinian human rights activists. It could be about Antifa. It could be about anyone. Once you give them this power, it never, ever goes away. So pretty wild to see them just blatantly speculating about exploiting this loophole to try to circumvent the constitutional rights.
No, that's the part that really gets me, which is that it's like that famous thing that was revealed in Snowden where, if you want to really spy on Americans, you just get a Five Eyes partner in order to spy on them, and then you can go and search their data. That's actually what's been happening. We recently covered that. You combine this with, we covered the other day, the Postal Service being caught monitoring Americans' social media chatter online in order to, you can slap anybody with mail fraud. What? I didn't even know the Postal Service had an intelligence apparatus. So not only can they read your mail, not that anybody sends anything that important by mail anymore, but they can monitor extremist chatter and partner with the Department of Homeland Security, who is clearly using January 6th for everything in their power to expand the security apparatus to the Postal Service, to your phone, to the types of news organizations you bribe and that you use, and now even private messaging groups. That is really another step just further. And remember, the New York Times and others have already laid the groundwork for this. Encryption is what is coming next. We're going to wage a full-scale war against encryption. I did a whole radar. The FBI already talking about how Signal messaging app is dangerous for the public. This is only the beginning. It really is.
Indeed. Tomorrow on Rising, got another great show planned for y'all. Friends of the show, Max Alvarez and Brianna Joy Gray.
That's right. Matt Stoller is going to discuss the Biden administration's first major antitrust move. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to like and share as well. And we will see you all tomorrow.
Have a good one, guys.